Welcome to the show. Welcome. It's your man, Goddard Johnson. We are back. We are back live and in living color on Thursday, and I'm giving you my week 5 preview thoughts and all that kind of stuff. How you doing, Teresa? How you doing, Dr. Nikki? Anybody else catching this on the replay? As always, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tomorrow's show, we will be doing a Freestyle Friday show type thing. Listen. I've got to come up with a way to brand that. I want to say it's the kickback before kickoff, but that sounds KBK. We call Fridays KBK. I gotta come up with something to kind of shorten that up because it's wordy. But anyway, tune in tomorrow. We will be dipping and dabbing with the NIL stuff. But listen, I am a part of a elite group, and I say elite group. How you doing, Miss Murph? I am a part of an elite group of people that are on Twitter that are deep into the Dallas Cowboys. And it's giving me inspiration. You guys know how I feel about getting inspiration. So it's giving me inspiration to do a show tomorrow, really focus on, are you a fan? And when I speak of fan, you're a supporter of a team or whatnot. Are you a fan, or, are you, delusional? Are you just, or do you like the team? Do you love the team, or do you just love the team so much that you're living in la la land? And being in and on Twitter and being in Cowboy Nation's Twitter, listen, these guys will find a way. Some people, and I say some people will find a way to spin a positive out of a clear negative. And for the life of me, listen, they will find a play where we'll get gashed. Here's a perfect example. We got gashed. And see, we'll talk about that too when you start to identify yourself with the team. We got gashed for 285 yards on the ground by the Baltimore Ravens after getting gashed. By the New Orleans Saints the week prior. And you will have some on Cowboys Twitter will have you to believe they will find a random play in which like say the defensive tackle Mozzie Smith made a shot the gap and made a stop. I wouldn't necessarily say a stop in the backfield, but had a good block shed. They will have you thinking that what you saw on the field is not what you saw on the field. But that is something we'll talk about in tomorrow's show. How you doing, Ms. VS? That is something we'll talk about in tomorrow's show. Because listen, I love my boys. But as I have gotten older and kind of stepped away from the I guess the fandom of it all, and really started to break down games and watch games for what they are, honestly, without having too much feeling attached to it. I see sports a little bit differently. But listen, there's some people out there, and we'll talk about incidents that happen at sporting events. It's not just football. Incidents that happen at sporting events where people get hurt. Some people have gone to the hospital. Some people have lost their lives over quote unquote fandom. But that is something. Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna be up here too too long, because the Tampa Bay Falcons game, rivalry game, is a good one. Before I went live. Matter of fact, let me refresh, because it was 10-7 Tampa Bay. But let me refresh, because this turning out to be a pretty good game. Falcons have taken the lead. Tampa Bay was up when I got ready to start the show. But anyway, on to the week 5 matchups. You guys know, I tell you, week 5, week 6 is when you kind of really get a real good view of the team, a real good feel for the team and the direction that their season is going. Sometimes that kind of gets thrown a little in whack because of injuries at key positions, very big injuries at key positions and that kind of stuff. But in general, injuries aside, in some cases, injuries play a very large part of it. But in most cases, injuries aside, by week 5, week 6, your team is kind of what your team is. That could be, a team that's trending in the right direction. a team that is kind of treading water, or a team that is trending in a negative direction. By week 5, week 6, you get a real good picture, a real good sample size of what that current team is looking like. Now you do have those cases where a team that you think is looking good, looking at you Philadelphia Eagles fans last year, at this point you was undefeated. You think you're looking good. But if you was taking real honest stock of your team, you could tell that you was trending in a bad direction. But with that being said, like it's some very good games on tap for this weekend. Some very good games that will kind of play a role in the kind of hierarchy movement we're seeing throughout this season, as far as how teams are performing and where we thought they would be performing at this point of the season. Go ahead and give you my picks, my thoughts, and with that, like I want to get back to this game, because it's turned out to be a very good game so far. Let's see, the early Sunday game from Canada, not from Canada, but the overseas game. You have Jets Vikings. Jets come in off a very tough loss, very bad loss. As the offense looked out of sorts in their last game against the Broncos, coming again against probably the hottest team in the NFC, if not the NFL. A team that kind of came out of nowhere with the way that they're playing. I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings. Overseas games, kind of a short, kind of a weird week prep. A part of me wants to go Vikings because they have been playing very outstanding football on both sides of the ball, namely the offensive side of the ball, the way Sam Darnold has played. If we were to take a poll, he would be in the conversation for MVP at this point of the season. I know it's early, but he has played that well at the start of the season. It is kind of a bit of a mixed bag for Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets offense still have not been able to establish an identity, and that is one of the things at this point of the season, if your team has not kind of established that, something that's very concerning. Because it plays out throughout the course of the season. If you really can't identify what kind of a team you want to be, you want to use the first early stages of the season, first quarter, 5-6 games of the season, to kind of establish who you are as a team. If you're a running team, be a running team. You're a team that's going to be more of a balanced team, a team that's going to air it out, whatever that is for you that works for your team. This is where you kind of, these next couple of weeks is where you kind of get that litmus test, like, this is what we are. But with that being said, Minnesota has been playing very, very well. The Jets offense to me has looked disjointed. I'm not sure how much of that is, Aaron Rodgers coming back from injury, working off of the rust. There's some issues between Hackett and him and Saleh and what they're trying to do as an offense. You have talent on that team offensively. Defenses, for me, though the Jets has played well. Offense, like I said, it's been kind of disjointed at different stretches of the season, and I don't see that on the other side of the football. Vikings kind of know who they are. They're playing to their strengths, playing to the maximum of their capabilities, and I think people are really start to seriously start to take notice of what they're doing up there in Minnesota. I know Sam Darnold gets a lot of the hype, but the defense has been playing very, very, very well. One of the better defenses in the NFL at this point of the season. So with that being said, I gotta go Vikings. I gotta go Vikings in this one. Like I said, Jets, have the superior quote unquote quarterback, but they have not looked in flow offensively, and I feel better about what Minnesota has been able to put on tape thus far. Moving along with the schedule, another big game on tap with the early 1 o'clock kickoff. You have Baltimore and Cincinnati. Now, on paper, as far as the record is concerned, you have a 2-2 team against a 1-3 team, but a lot of people had coming into the season, you either had Baltimore winning this division, and you had some people, not a whole lot, but you had some people, good enough chunk of people, that you had Cincinnati winning this division. We're both, with a 2-game gap between first place and last place in this division. Still one of the better divisions in the NFL. When you consider, Pittsburgh is playing lights out football. Cleveland is capable of playing lights out football. Nick Chubb is on the way back, so that changes the dynamic for that team. Joe Burrow has been okay. Baltimore has kind of found their rhythm. Baltimore has kind of found their identity over the last couple of weeks, and even though they are coming in as 2-2, doesn't feel like the typical 2-2 team at this point of the season. You know, we had a very tough loss in week 1, very tough loss in week 2. Could have been very winnable games. Could be talking about a team that's 4-0, but I think Baltimore is kind of finding their identity and more or less finding the best way to use Derrick Henry and to enhance an already dominant run game. Lamar Jackson, I like. I like the fact that he's not trying to force it. As far as passing the ball, understanding that hey, they're having a lot of success running the ball and leaning heavy into that himself. Give me just 1 second. All right, I'm back. My bad, my bad, my bad. I'm back. So, but yeah, this one I got Baltimore. Still trying to stay in the hunt, not only for best team in the division, still with the outside shot to possibly still catch the Kansas City Chiefs if they falter at some point of the season. Catch the Kansas City Chiefs and position themselves right back there on top of the mountain in the AFC. Tampa Bay just scored. Oh Jesus Christ! I'm missing a good one. Come on. I almost didn't listen. I almost didn't do this show. Almost didn't do this show. Let me refresh. 17-4. I got to get out of here. Okay. Hopefully by the time I get out of here, it'll be halftime. Jesus, it's a good Thursday game. Good Thursday game. But anyway, get back to the predictions and let's get up on out of here. You have another top of the AFC matchup. You have Buffalo Bills on the road against the Houston Texans coming off a very tough loss. Buffalo coming off getting smashed by Baltimore. This is one of them kind of games early in the season, kind of see where you are, where you stack up with other playoff-ish type teams. And this is one of those games you're going to look back at, at the end of the season. How well did the team play against another team that was and had an above 500 record? You're expected to beat the bums on your schedule. You're expected to beat the scrubs on your schedule. But this is one of those games you kind of look back to like, hey, we beat this team, we beat that team. We have, it instills confidence, builds confidence for a team going into the playoffs. Buffalo, I think needs this game. I think they need this game more so than the Texans. And the reason why I say the Texans, I think the Texans play a much easier division. But with what's going on in the AFC East, I think Buffalo needs this game a lot more because you don't want, you're only a game ahead of the Jets. You don't want them to, get into a rhythm offensively because it's going to be very tough to hold them off. Luckily for you, Miami's without a quarterback. They're trying to find an answer at quarterback. So that kind of takes them out of it because I had Miami winning this division coming into the season, but injuries, like we said, play a large part in how that kind of plays out. But with that being said, I got Buffalo. I got Buffalo on the road against the Texans. I think they come in with a little bit more hunger. I think Josh Allen is going to be very heavily involved in the offense, and I'm talking about the run game, trying to get that established again for them. And I think the Texans will play a very good game, but I think Josh Allen just a tad bit, edges CJ Stroud and takes this one. But I think whoever wins this game here has a, kind of, in the passenger seat for AFC, looking forward, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're first in line. Kansas City loses. I think the winner of this game kind of looks to themselves. We're first in line to kind of take over and possibly, seize home field advantage, which it's been very big in the AFC over the past couple of seasons. So be on the lookout for this game. It's one of those must watch. Looking at the schedule, Miami Patriots. Nah, I'm good. Browns against the Commanders. I think the Browns, with Nick Chubb, ready to re-enter to the lineup. I don't think he comes back this week. I think it's next week. He comes back. But the Browns still have enough talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to give the rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels, who has played very, very, very well for the Washington Commanders. He's been, brought along at the right pace. They're taking advantage of his skill set. But I think, when you playing against the likes of a Myles Garrett and the rest of those dogs that they have on that Browns defense, this might be one of those games where, rookie, you get a wake up call. You get a wake up call, and for that reason, I got the Browns on the road. And I like what Jayden Daniels has done thus far, but something about this game, Cleveland understanding that hey, you don't want to fall too far back in the pack. In the AFC, especially early in the season, to where you're clawing and scratching, trying to get into the playoffs. And this was the team that was in the playoffs last year. I think Myles Garrett takes this game to another level, and they find ways to confuse and frustrate the rookie and take care of business on the road against Washington Commanders. So I got Cleveland in that one. Looking at the rest, because I don't want to be up here too long. I'm missing a pretty good game, and the Thursday games, typically ain't been like that. Be honest with you, ain't been like that. We have Jacksonville, and that's the only reason we talk about Jacksonville, because one of our long-term supporters of the show. What's going on, Triggs? What's going on, Spot 'em? Yeah, it's a good game. I got to get back to it. Got to get back to it. Only reason we talk about the Jaguars because one of our long-term supporters of the show, the Gator Girl, she says she's not a fan, but she's a fan. They're on for things are falling apart there in Jacksonville. It's been reported that Travis Etienne, running back, they picked up the 5th-year option on him. He's possibly on the trade market. They may be looking to move him. Trevor Lawrence has played like trash. But with that being said, you have the Colts team coming in. Joe Flacco more than likely will be the starting quarterback if Anthony Richardson can't go. Joe Flacco has shown he's capable of winning in this league and even playing very well from the backup position. Of course, I got Colts in this one, but I'm curious to see, with this 0-5, what heads start to roll in Jacksonville? What heads start to roll in Jacksonville? Could the head coach be on the way out? I don't think too much talk has been put into that because we've been so focused on how bad Trevor Lawrence has been playing, but could the head coach possibly be on the way out? It is a situation that we are monitoring. I do think Jaguars lose if you didn't catch that. I got Jags losing. But moving on. Another interesting situation. You have the Raiders. It's been reported that first-year head coach Antonio Pierce has some issues with some of his star players. This has been reported, has been confirmed by the team. But of course, when you hear reports of him not getting along with Davante Adams, and Davante Adams, subsequently has requested a trade. It's been talk that he's had issues with other star players and leaders on this team, namely Max Crosby. It might be some trouble in paradise. And I think that distracts them. You have a rivalry game. You have the Broncos in Denver. Broncos coming off a very tough win against the Jets. Davante Adams situation kind of hanging over the team. And for what it's worth, do you believe the reports that Pierce is kind of losing it with some of the star players and leaders on the team? I'm not sure if I buy it that much, but it's something going on in the water there. When you hear some of the comments made post game by players such as the Max Crosby, where they're kind of like, kind of tap dancing around certain issues and topics. But with the football being the football, I got Broncos. I got Broncos in this one. I think it's too many distractions right now for the Raiders. Like I said earlier this week, if I was them, move off of Davante Adams while you still can, while his stock is still high, and while you can still get some viable assets at this point of the season. Look, he doesn't want to be there. He's already kind of requested a trade. He doesn't fit into what you're trying to do under a new head coach. I think people kind of gloss over that. It is a new head coach, and typically what a new head coach likes to do, he likes to bring in his own team, his own philosophy. He'll have an opportunity if the Raiders, fall, whether or not they fall or not. He'll have the opportunity to draft his own signal caller this offseason and build a team in his image. And I don't think Davante Adams, feels like he's part of that image. going forward, and he's requested a trade. Go ahead, trade him, get him out of there, get that distraction out of there. Because I know you got to be tired of talking about him. I know players are tired of talking about him when they get asked. Go ahead and move off of him. But with that being said, I got Broncos and in that one. Cardinals, 49ers. Hasn't looked for when I say hasn't, I'm talking about the 49ers haven't looked all that good, but you could chalk some of that a large chunk of that up to the injuries that they have on this team. Christian McCaffrey situation seems to be getting kind of complicated as we go week from week to week. What his situation is, I mean, does Christian McCaffrey hit the field this year? Reportedly seeking treatment over in Germany for some of the issues that he's having in regards to his legs. Does he hit the field this year? I don't know. It's looking more and more likely we won't see. I don't even think he plays half the season. Be honest with you, with some of the issues that he's having. And Brock Purdy has looked pedestrian. Has looked normal. Has looked like the average starting quarterback would look once you take all the superstar weapons that he has around him. So you're just gonna gloss over what Jerry Jones said. Are you talking about the alleged video that's been floating around with him talking about players' phalluses? Is that's what you're referring to? The good brother Speakeasy. If that's what you're referring to, I would hope I would gloss over that, but we may touch it on tomorrow's show. Yeah, I've been trying to listen. It was a low point for Cowboy Nation, and we glad that of these, everybody else, they kind of jump on and latch onto it and make it a big story. But we saw it. We saw it. Moving on with the schedule. Let's see here. Packers and Rams. Jordan Love, second game back. Rams team desperately needing to win. Battling injuries of their own. I think Green Bay gets this one. I think Green Bay played very well in the second half. Then it kind of rolls over, and the Rams teams, one of my teams I picked to make the playoffs, but has battling the injuries. And it's one of those situations where have the injuries caught up with this team, and you just kind of maxed out your level of play. We'll see. We'll see what kind of team. What kind of performance the Rams put out there. Still hopeful this team makes the playoffs because I don't want to be seen as wrong. But definitely, I got Packers in this one. I got Packers in this one. Think they're just a tad bit better, just a step above the Rams at this point of the season. Another game with Seahawks, Giants. Seahawks in that one. Moving forward. Steelers are hosting the Cowboys. Listen, and I know this may shock Cowboys Nation, but when I look at both of these teams on paper, and when I look at what I've seen thus far this season, if Pittsburgh comes out with the same offensive strategy that they have been employing this season, where you're very run heavy, leaning on the defense, but very run heavy, clock control, ball control type offense. If Dallas does not get a lead on them in the first quarter, and I'm talking about a 10 to 14 point lead, Cowboys fans, I know you're not gonna want to hear this. Pittsburgh has all the talent to do to you what the Saints did to you, what the Baltimore Ravens did to you, and that is the ability to run the ball and run the ball successfully. Considering you're going into this game without your top two pass rushers, this is got to be a Dak game. And when we're talking about elite quarterbacks, having that, carry their team to, and this is one of those type games, your star quarterback, that you're paying all of this money, has got to give you, if you're that dude, if you're that quarterback, if you want to be considered in the realm of a Patrick Mahomes or an elite quarterback, you got to bring your team across the finish line 3 to 4 games a year. And I think Dallas, you're going to need Dak to go out here and have a very good performance, but he does not have a very good performance if he does not have a run game. This is tough. And this may not be a popular. I know it's not going to be a popular pick, and I would never say this on Cowboy Twitter. But I got Steelers at home. I got Steelers at home in this one. I just have not liked what I've seen from the Cowboys offensively. I've just not liked what they put together defensively. You know, you are what you are. You are what you are. And I got Steelers. I think Steelers come in with a mindset of run the ball, and they're going to be successful. They're going to be successful, and the defense is going to play well enough to win. If this has got to be, I'm picking Steelers. Would it surprise me if Cowboys win? No, because they have, in my opinion, more talent, but you ain't playing like it. And at this point of the season, I can't, go off what your team look like on the mat, and I got to go off what your team is put out there on the field. What's going on, Keith? Listen, I'm a Cowboy fan, but I can't pick them every week, man. This is one of those weeks, considering how well they have played or not played. I got Steelers in this one. As we close out with the Monday night game, you got Saints and Chiefs. Chiefs, if living on the edge was a team, it will be the Kansas City Chiefs this season, who have won close game after close game after close game. Eventually, that comes to bite you. I don't think it happens this week. I still think it's going to be a very competitive game, very close game. It seems like how Kansas City has chose to play this season, have yet to kind of really put teams away. Teams have been able to kind of linger around and, have an opportunity, at the end of games to, because this team could easily be 1-3 instead of 4-0. Let's keep it above. But I got Chiefs at home taking care of business. Okay, let's see. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. I want to get back to this Tampa Bay Falcons game because, while I've been up here, scores have been going up, and I like to see a good football game. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for KBK to kick off. Goddamn, I'm coming up with these names on the fly. KBK, the kickback before kickoff. Make sure y'all tune in for that tomorrow. We'll be talking about a little bit of the NIL stuff, part 2-ish of that. But we're gonna be talking about, NFL fandom, or is it a healthy thing? Are you a fan or are you delusional? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for that. As always, like, share, subscribe. If you have any thoughts for shows, any kind of topics you wanted me to approach. Oh, for my NBA fans, we will be doing the NBA preview because I know training camp is kind of just started back. So, NFL, it's still going to be going, but the NBA is going to get their shot. Listen, I will not be doing weekly NBA recaps. This is like major news and that kind of stuff. I don't really get heavy into the NBA until around Christmas, All-Star breakish. But I do like to give you guys a preview of my thoughts of the upcoming NBA season. So we will be doing that sometime in the near future. As always, like, share, subscribe, and all of that. Shout out to KBK. Yeah, the KBK. I think that'll stick, Miss Murph. I think the KBK name will stick because I've had, I think KBK will stick. So that's what we'll do. KBK on Friday. Make sure y'all tune in for that, join in the conversation. And, like I said, it's always like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And let me get my behind off out of here. I want to get back to this game and all of that stuff. Appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to little old me. Y'all know the phrase. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.